In this agronomic division, we have the plant waste and solution lab, the nematode lab, and the soil testing section. I'm an agronomist with the soil testing section. My name is Jeana Myers, and I'm a soil scientist from NC State University. The mission of the agronomic division is to primarily hit three different areas. One is to maximize the productivity that a farmer can achieve through the proper use of fertilizers and lime. There's no need to over or underuse those, so we want the crops to be at their maximum productivity. Secondly, we want to minimize the impact on the environment. So if a farmer knows how much lime, phosphorus, nitrogen to apply, it won't be excessive and run into the waterways or leach into the groundwater. Thirdly, we'd like it to be economically feasible for farmers to maximize the use of their resources so that they're not wasting money on something they don't need. The soil testing lab is a high production laboratory. This year we've done over 360,000 samples. We're probably the largest public laboratory, soil testing laboratory in the country. So most of our samples come in from October to April. The farmers start taking samples heavily in October, and we are firmly behind by January, probably about 6 weeks turnaround time for that. These samples have been placed on the soil testing dock, which is where people are welcome to drop off their samples. In the wintertime, this dock is piled high with boxes, and they're put into carts and moved into the building until we can process the samples. Arrive in our lab, the boxes are opened, and each sample will be looked at and put into the correct place. This is a diagnostic sample representing a problem area in a homeowner or farmer's garden or farm. All the rest of the samples will be organized into groups of 36. Each set of 36 soil boxes has a number, and each box within the set has a number, and that's how each sample is tracked through the lab, and the data are collected. And with each of the samples, where the homeowner or farmer will list their name and address, the sample ID, and the crop code. This way we can give fertilizer and lime recommendations.
After the samples are trayed up, we need to have the tops torn off of them so they can go in the dryer. They don't dry properly with the cardboard tops in place. Also, we need to be able to see inside to make sure that we've gotten a good sample that comes up about to the fill line and that the soil is not in any sort of plastic bag. That will be sifted out in the grinding room. It goes through a sieve after it goes through the grinder, and that's to get a nice homogeneous sample. So some of the samples are core samples that people have sent in using a soil probe, and other samples are just more, sampled just with like a shovel or a spade, just kind of dug up sort of samples. But all the debris that's inside the box will come out in the grinding room.
The samples are put in the dryer overnight, where it heats up to about 130 degrees. They need to be dried so they grind properly and to create a uniform sample that can be analyzed in the laboratory.
system. Used to have to key it in many years ago.
There are about 80 sets in the busy part of the season done per day.
Start it so that arm's going to move. So don't get in there. Used to be done by hand. The sample was hand pipetted and read by a handheld colorimeter. That's hugely, probably, so it takes one less person to run the station on average than what it used to be. The robot is going over into this sample, reading all three of these. It's pulling up about 5 milliliters of the sample, mixing it with water, and shooting it into the 3 vials over in this set. And it'll do that for all 3 of these sets. And then the robot will come back around and will put the light probes into the vials and read the percent of light that is allowed to pass through the sample. And that will tell us how much humic matter the sample contains. The higher the light transmission, the lower the humic matter, and vice versa. The humic matter value to set the soil class.
Measuring the humic matter is important so that we can set a lime rate for a given crop and a given soil type. If you have an organic soil, we will only set the target pH at 5. For a mineral organic, 5.5, and for a mineral soil, it varies by crop. And we have primarily mineral soils in North Carolina. So we like to know how much humic matter is. We like to set the class based on the humic matter and weight per volume levels, and then give a target pH for that crop. Because at the correct pH, most nutrients are at their most available to a crop. So we want to set the correct pH so that the maximum level of nutrients are available.
Plant production.
The correct pH really impacts root development as well as nutrient availability. So getting the correct pH is probably one of the most important steps that a farmer or homeowner can take to ensure that their plants will grow well.
Nutrient analysis samples, this will be run on the ICP, and we'll get elements like phosphorus, calcium, sodium, sulfur. This is our ICP where we test for the nutrient content in the soil. The extractant comes up through the sickle cells and it goes into the chamber at the top, and then we heat it and straight into the torch. This will tell us elements such as phosphorus, potassium, calcium, manganese.
We've looked at the 5 different testing stations or types of analyses that we do in our soil lab. And from those 5 different measurements, you will get the 22 pieces of data that show up on your soil test report.